Hey everybody, this is Rydo and we're back to Black Mirror 2. So we made it to Black Mirror Castle in the 5th act of the game. Way too late. We're gonna talk to this new cook named Sally. There really wasn't a cook in the first game. It seemed like the butler Bates was also the cook.
Hello.
Oh, hello.
We've got a whole list of things
here.
My name is
to
Falk.
talk to her about.
Inspector Falk. I'm a policeman.
A copper? How exciting. I'm Sally.
Did they really need to give her a Cockney accent? Like, every single character that's introduced is given some funny voice or funny personality quirk. Can we not just have some normal people?
Do you know this woman?
Never seen her before. Looks a bit like a snob.
I don't suppose there are pictures of all the cooks who have worked here by any chance.
No idea. Must be ages ago, though, since there was an actual cook here. Ask Bates, he knows everything.
I'd prefer not to ask either him or Lady Victoria.
Then I don't know either.
You and Bates look after everything here?
Well, looking after. Bates does most of that. He lets me do all the dirty work. Cleaning, cooking, and all that sort of thing.
Isn't that your job?
That's what he says all the time. But being honest, I'd expected something quite different, you know? I mean, a castle with such knobs living in it. You'd expect the odd soiree every now and again.
Or a cute prince?
Well, Charles is off the market now. But anyone under 80 would do this place a world of good. Sometimes it really does seem like a grave here.
What can you tell me about Lewis?
A disgusting man. Ugh. I was hoping when I started he wouldn't be a snob like all the others are here. But he's just as boring and in a permanent bad mood. I never get more than 3 words out of him.
Here's an interesting thought. I guess if this series is to continue, there has to be some kind of Gordon heir. So, I don't know if Darren ends up dead by the end of this story. I don't know how you make a Black Mirror 3. That doesn't really make sense at all. Unless there's some other Gordon nobody knows about. Apparently there's a locked door. Is it this locked door that they're talking about, or a different door?
Do you know what's behind the locked door in the hall?
Ah, the one in the
I've
hall.
asked myself that question too. But you can't get a thing out of Bates about it. Once, he got me listening at the door. He gave me such a telling off, like nothing I'd ever known before. He was so mad, he nearly collapsed. He was coughing blood and I had to hold him up. I've been giving the door a wide berth since then.
I've got to find out what's behind that door. The rooms there would be an ideal hiding place for one of the mosaic tiles.
Wouldn't it be weird if Samuel Gordon didn't die? I mean, I don't know how he wouldn't have died. He jumped off the building, but maybe. Yeah, if he didn't die and he was still alive, that'd be kind of weird.
Is Lady Victoria a good boss?
I don't know. Bates hardly lets me talk to her. When I first came here, I made her ladyship a few suggestions on how she might want to redecorate the castle a bit. Just get rid of a bit of the mustiness, you know? Since then, I always have to ask Bates if I want something from her ladyship.
What's wrong with Lady Eleanor?
What could be wrong with her? Snore. Sits around all day either knitting or reading.
Anything else?
She plays piano for Lady Victoria every now and again. In this house, that counts as having a wild party. You know, it's about time I got myself another position.
You want to leave?
Yeah, sooner rather than later. Maybe to, movie or a pop star's house. Somewhere where things are a bit lively at least.
She's ironically setting herself up to get killed.
Can you tell me anything about Samuel's ghost? Apparently it's been seen by a few tourists.
Oh yeah, I've seen it too. Out one of the windows. It scared the living
would make
daylights out
sense
of me.
then if
A
Samuel was
gruesome
still
face.
alive.
I hope I'll never see it again.
Huh. That's true. At which window?
I don't remember exactly. I think it was in the Forbidden Wing.
Forbidden Wing.
Yeah, you know, what's behind the locked door in the hall.
Okay. I won't keep you from your work any longer.
Ah, don't worry about it.
So, yeah, it certainly seems like there's several plot lines going on right now. And some of them have been introduced and then ignored for hours and hours. Hey, we've got a different angle on the stables. Let's see. I do have to applaud.
Here. Huh. This thieving magpie in a raven suit has something I need.
This is the same raven from before, apparently. There was a lot of red herrings in the first game about
the
the
raven
stable
stole a
master.
piece of mosaic from Angelina's backpack and brought it here to its nest. An ancient well. I can't imagine that it's still in use. Even this place must have a normal water supply by now.
And yeah, in the first game, Samuel Gordon did act like a very rich, snob kind of jerk in some instances for kind of no reason. It had a very odd characterization of him.
The floor here is rain-sodden and very muddy.
So I feel like I'm probably going to do this with this, but I don't know why. Like, now I have muddy boots.
And now the boots look like boots should. Dirty.
See if the spoon works with the magpie.
I'm sure the raven would love this shiny spoon. But if I just put it down somewhere, he'll get it and fly straight back to the nest. I wouldn't have enough time to get the piece of mosaic, and I'm sure he's not gonna give it to me in gratitude for the spoon.
Alright. So we're gonna have to think of a plan.
Apparently, these things are to blame for the English still driving on the left. If you were to guide your horse with your right hand, you'd run the risk of being squashed between the wagons. An old wooden staircase.
Never heard that one before.
Probably leads to the stableman's room.
Yeah, and I kind of feel like we're not going in the barn.
I don't want to go up there. Doesn't look very sturdy. I don't want to go up there.
I don't know why I'm not eliminating things at this point, though.
The gate must have been replaced a short time ago. The wood still looks new. But I don't think there's anything suspicious about that.
Yeah, I'm not sure why they even bother to maintain Black Mirror Mansion at its level of maintenance. It seems like either they need to bring in a team of like 5 repairmen to fix and maintain everything, or they need to give up.
That's probably the Gordon's family coat of arms. I don't know anything about heraldry. There are complicated rules about creating and reading coats of arms. It probably means something like, "We are a very old family, but unfortunately also quite insane. Please keep your distance." An old wooden ladder. It seems to have been used a lot. The rungs are really worn and smooth.
Can I just carry the ladder in my pocket? A giant ladder just magically fits in your pocket. Point and click adventure
The best of
logic.
British
Don't
technology.
question it.
At least it used to be.
toolbox. I believe we had to get a toolbox in the first
Lewis
game.
toolbox. Various wrenches, a cloth, a hammer, pliers, all the things you need. Huh. I think I'll take the big hammer. I could also use it as a weapon if I need to, which might be the case in this place.
Okay. So we can talk to Lewis, or we can look at the car, or we can look at the toolbox again.
I don't need any more. If I do, then I know where I can find it. Huh. Ralph was talking about a shiny black car. Is this the one he saw? But who drove from the castle to the crime scene this morning? What were they doing there?
Still trying
I
to
don't even know
exhaust
about
everything.
American cars of the last 10 years. My knowledge of English cars from the first half of the century is absolutely zilch.
So we've got several things that maybe we can take a picture of. Let's see. Well, nest, mud. Nope, don't need to take a picture of any of that stuff. Let's go ahead and talk to Lewis.
Hey, Lewis.
We're gonna just ask all the questions we can ask now, and I imagine we'll have to go around in at least 2 loops and talk to everybody.
You again?
Multiple
I thought
times.
you'd been thrown out.
Lady Victoria gave me permission to have a look around the castle and the gardens.
It's getting slow
How
this
nice
game.
of her.
Getting
What do you
really, really
want?
slow.
What can you tell me about the castle?
Nothing. A big, ugly building.
With an overgrown garden.
What have I got to do with that?
Aren't you the gardener?
My garden's a few 100 miles west of here.
In Wales.
That's right.
So you just do the bare minimum here, if at all.
The garden's too big for one man alone, and what's the point in looking after it? This whole place is doomed. The house is falling apart. The lady won't live for much longer, and Bates is as good as dead.
You're hoping that Lady Eleanor will return to Wales when Lady Victoria dies.
Perhaps.
Well, the Welsh castle's not any better.
That's a nice car.
Certainly is. The only decent surprise here. I discovered it behind the stables, built it back up from scratch. My father used to work on a car like this, and he taught me quite a bit.
Do you sometimes take it out for a spin? To the coast, for example?
I drive the ladies. They used to still have bloody horses in the stable, but looking after them was too much effort for the old folks. Now, this is the only pair of wheels. But the ladies don't leave the house much at all. Bates usually walks to the village. He says it's good for his health. But every time it takes a bit longer.
You weren't at the coast with the car this morning.
No.
What can you tell me about Lady Eleanor?
Too
If you
much
want to know
conversation
something
in
about
one
Lady
row.
Eleanor, then you better ask Lady Eleanor. She's her own favorite subject.
You mean she's egotistical?
She threw everything away and fled here in a mad rush after Sir Richard died. Who does such a thing?
The castle and the garden in Wales reminded her of her dead husband.
And she should have thought of the family history. You don't just give up an house where generations have lived and worked.
How did her husband die?
He blew himself up, did all kinds of strange experiments. In the last years, he became obsessed with uncovering the secret of what drove Sir William and his sons insane. He hardly left his lab anymore, and collapsed in exhaustion more than once. Her ladyship was very worried.
Do we really need this backstory? Like, I guess maybe it needed to be said, but boy, it doesn't seem like it needed to be said right now.
Bates seems to be very tired.
He's terminally ill. The doctors say it's a miracle he's still alive. But let me tell you, Bates will kick the bucket on the very same day that Lady Victoria dies. Like a dog that follows its master. I think he just finds it unfitting to die before his mistress.
He says he's worked for the Gordons for more than 70 years, and that he knows all their secrets.
I'd believe that at the drop of a hat. No one knows the castle and garden better than him. But when it gets to his own bonce, he's getting forgetful. The loyal soul. That's why they've given him Sally, I think.
I met Sally.
The only one in the castle who's not at least 100 and starting to decay.
Is she a good housekeeper?
She's lousy.
She often seems to be in trouble with Bates because of that.
He's the one that chose her, and turned away much better candidates.
Why did he do that?
Yeah, if you're worried about being replaced.
Then you chose the worst possible replacement, to stay indispensable yourself.
That's how it is.
Interesting thought.
Lewis, do you believe in ghosts? Some tourists claim they've seen some here.
Oh, yeah.
It'd make the most sense that Sally is a member of the Order.
For weeks on end after
Although
we planted that rumor.
The indication was it was only made of men.
Completely trashed the garden.
But it's also being led by a woman.
See you later.
So,
not if I see you first.
That is a weird line of dialogue. Right, no, just stay here. It's so easy to click show hotspots and accidentally go back to the place you don't want to go. Unless I'm supposed to do something with this, or this, or this. I'm not 100% sure what I'm supposed to be doing. There's no other way to exit this area. It's just back to the main entrance, I guess. A interesting castle. See, the castle now looks more whitish than blackish, and I don't see why you would call it Black Mirror Castle. And the tower seems to have either been destroyed completely, because it's not even a tower anymore.
The view would be great from up there. The tower seems to have windows on every side. Perhaps it used to be a defense tower and was later converted. Maybe it just looked like that from the beginning.
Let's see. Show the hotspots. Not too much to have to deal with. It looks like there's a book right here, but I don't know what that's supposed to be. A skull.
The guy who built this castle had weird taste.
You have skulls and crosses and where would the forbidden section be? It should be somewhere over here. Castle feels smaller than it did in the first game because of this angle. Like,
looks as if the ivy has killed the tree and is now attacking the house. Quite convenient for a burglar. But as long as I'm allowed to roam freely, I'm not gonna start climbing around on the facade.
Like twice the game has indicated, yeah, you could climb here if it weren't for the fact that we don't want you to. I'm hoping we avoid
really
the Arboretum, at least.
There's light coming from many of the windows.
There's a serious question about why did they not adopt somebody a long time ago. If like right after Samuel Gordon lost his wife, that they would have
That way leads
probably
deeper into the
adopted.
garden. It's all overgrown and fallen apart. I'd be better off staying away.
Okay, so the garden
I don't think I'm gonna...
is not even something that we deal with. Good to know. And that puts us in a good position. Let's see what does. To just go back in the main entrance. They're making little revisions, little edits to where you travel and where that goes. Eliminating some scenes that were unnecessary. It seems like the lady also left. Okay. And this feels different. This is a completely different angle than the first game. You really do have to kind of compare.
An old-fashioned telephone. Who should I call?
Seems like we'll probably call the other telephone from the other side of the house. You really do have to compare the old game to the new game. If this is the same castle, we should be, for the most part, seeing the same things.
It's locked. There's probably nothing special inside anyway. An antique vase or carafe. I'll leave that where it is.
So, I don't know what room this is gonna be.
So much for the nakedness in England. 4 naked girls at once here. And the chap they're all entertaining really seems to be enjoying it.
That's like a famous painting.
So much for the nakedness in England.
We have a lamp.
I can't make out from here whether they're real gas lamps or electric lamps made to look old. Anywhere else, I'd be absolutely certain that there wouldn't be real gas lamps hanging from the ceiling. Not here.
So we've got Bates's room, which something we did never see. Poor Bates has to go up the stairs. Then we've got a Bartle room? Is that what it says? Bartle? Is that supposed to be a bedroom? Maybe it said bathroom. Well, this looks new. Really, really new.
A pile of towels. Small ones, big ones, nothing but towels.
The hallway that I was just in also seemed a little bit bigger.
A pile of towels. Small ones,
like,
big ones,
than the first
nothing
game.
but towels.
And this bathroom certainly feels like it's bigger than
that is so
it should
comfortable.
be.
A bench in a bathroom. Jeez.
There's no toilet in it, however.
Powder, makeup, and so on. Nothing of any use to me.
So maybe there's a special name I've never heard of as far as a bathroom without a toilet in it.
What an effort it must take to keep this old tiled floor so clean. I can imagine Bates checking twice a day to see if any dirt accumulates in the nooks and crannies in the meantime.
Curtains.
Curtains in the bathroom. Oh well, to each their own.
They'll get all moisture, moldy eventually.
Lots of roofs, alcoves, walls. I wonder how many rooms the castle has. You could easily hide Mom's little house in one of the wings.
So my thinking here is that there's potentially a tile hidden somewhere.
A chandelier in a bathroom. Madness.
Either that's the case, or I'm just gonna flood, like, do this to drive him crazy.
It would be better if I didn't make a mess of the floor. I have no reason to, and Bates would be really pissed if he caught me.
So there's a reason I'm gonna do that later.
A tap, like any other you might have found in this country 50 years ago.
Actually, I don't think it is, because that looks like that's a mixing tap with the hot and cold, and in the UK they more typically have separate taps for the hot and cold water, because they have a slightly different system that they were using, where there was a reservoir in the roof, I believe, for the cold water.
An old-fashioned bathtub. Doesn't look uncomfortable, but it would be too small for me.
Whereas in the United States, there's never been reservoirs in the roofs. If you're living in an apartment building, there'd be something like that on the top of the whole building to maintain pressure, and hot water heaters have a small reservoir in them.
I can't see anything unusual, apart from the fact that the plug is missing. That might make it difficult to have a bath.
So, I didn't apparently take a towel, even though I opened the cupboard. I'm gonna look in the mirror and probably get a jump scare. It'd be funny if you get a game over for looking in the mirror. What was going on
with that mirror down there in the hall? I really thought I saw Samuel Gordon. I'll probably collapse of exhaustion when this is all over.
So how many things do we still have to look at now? We have an emblem. Just every single time I walk in a new room,
I think the lion was a symbol of immortality in ancient
way
times.
too many things to look at.
What's that got to do with a bathtub?
Like, is there some kind of system you could have where perhaps more things unlock later, or the longer you're in a room, more things to look at that don't matter, or perhaps maybe the highlighting hotspots should only highlight things that are of major importance, and then there'll be other things you can click on too if you're interested. Right now the game has it developed and built in a way so that you assume everything you can click on is of equal weight and importance. But that's really not the case. Right, and yeah, we're not going into Samuel Gordon's bedrooms. It seems like we can't go into the study. You can't go anywhere like that. And that was the only thing as far as up the stairs. So it also doesn't seem like we can get to the place that would have been the burnt out wing. Let's go talk to Eleanor. Got a couple of things we can ask about.
You've only been living here a few years, Lady Eleanor?
That's right. I didn't want to live alone in a big house after my husband died.
So you moved in with your relatives in Willow Creek and brought Lewis with you?
Lewis was our gardener in Wales. He is sometimes a bit difficult, but I didn't have the heart to lay him off. I offered him to come with me and look after the garden here.
Which he doesn't seem to do.
Well, he didn't cope very well with having to leave his garden and his home in Wales.
Should have sent him back. Just have him maintain the Wales house. I assume she still owns it,
What's
even though it's
behind the
falling
closed
apart.
door over there?
There was a terrible fire here 24 years ago. Samuel's wife, Catherine, lost her life. That wing has been closed off since then. Too many memories, I think.
Did the fire start on the ground floor?
No, on the first floor. The ground floor was mostly spared, as far as I know. But even the rooms below those destroyed in the fire remain closed. Bates and Victoria make sure that no one goes into them.
I see. Was anyone else injured or killed?
One of the cooks was injured, as far as I know. She wanted to help and was badly burned.
Well, see, now that is weird because now the story is very, very confused. Am I Samuel Gordon's son from his marriage, Catherine? Or am I Samuel Gordon's illegitimate child from the cook? Or am I Catherine's son, but the cook took me as her own? I didn't even think there really were two women in the fire. I thought it was a lie, and they pretended like she died in the fire, but they sent her away to keep her away from Samuel. And that may still very well be the case, and it may just be that Lady Eleanor didn't get the real story.
Tell me about your estate in Wales.
It's a lovely
Probably not
castle.
going back to Wales.
Not as big or old as this one. I haven't been back since we left. I'm afraid it's probably in a terrible condition. And the marsh has probably spread even further.
Yep.
It's terrible. I couldn't stomach seeing our home like that. We had many happy years there.
When did your husband die?
A
This
few
is why
years
you don't
ago, Sir
abandon
Richard,
houses.
my husband, was a scientist.
She should have
He did his
sold it
experiments
to
in a
somebody.
summer house.
Well, have
I
rented
used
it.
to joke that he would blow himself up one day. I didn't really believe that that's exactly what would happen.
I'm willing to bet that I was imprisoned in Lady Eleanor's castle. It all fits together perfectly. And the phone call would suggest that it wasn't chosen at random. Did she make her old estate available for the Order to use?
So the question is it Lady Eleanor or Lady Victoria that's part of the Order?
Lewis is here of his own free will. I don't understand why he doesn't give this new life a go.
You are young, Mr. Falk. You don't know what it's like having to leave your home behind you. Lewis's roots are in Wales. A tree withers without roots.
Why doesn't he go back then?
I've suggested it to him. I promised him a small amount of money to start him off. First, I thought he would do it. But then he stayed after all.
Strange.
He's a complicated man. He's been working for me for over 20 years, but I still don't have the feeling that I actually know him. I think he blames me for his unhappiness. He only ever speaks to me if it can't be avoided, and I can see that hate in his eyes.
What kind of research was Sir Richard doing?
He had
This
very
B
diverse
plot line.
interests. After the tragedy 12 years ago, he was mainly concerned with, well, with blood.
With blood.
He was convinced that the Gordons' blood must somehow be different from that of other people. I think he was looking for a scientific explanation for all of the misery that has accompanied the family for hundreds of years.
His voice actors
In a test tube.
losing
Insanity is hereditary, as you may know.
their affect.
Why not misfortune?
Or the misfortune is only the result of the hallucinations. That explains what Angelina was looking for in Wales. She was hoping that Richard had found out something interesting before he died. I'm going to have another look around. Goodbye, Lady Eleanor.
It's nice to see another face in this house.
You could try to make the argument that everything that happened in the first game was all a hallucination, but it seems unlikely that that's really the case.
A basket of knitting gear. Wool, scissors, and that kind of thing. May I borrow a piece of thread, Lady Eleanor?
Some thread?
Yes, please. About 2 yards?
Certainly. Help yourself.
Thanks.
So I've got some thread.
Thread is always useful. I took some of the tear-proof stuff.
So I imagine what I'm supposed to do is take this spoon and tie it to the thread.
I knotted the spoon to the thread. You're not gonna free that in a hurry.
And then I'm gonna go tie the spoon to something in the stables. Apparently I can't exit this direction, I have to exit this way. One assumes I can't just take a hammer to the stone slab.
I don't think the ladies would be that happy if I were to use a hammer on the stone slab. You'd hear that through the castle. Well, the police would be straight on to me, and then things would get really complicated.
Yeah, I didn't think that was gonna work. But while we're here, let's play a little game of do any of these things work with this or with anything else. I really don't have a lot of stuff right now that I think are interconnected. See, like this message, this diary, this knife, this letter, this folder. 4 of these paper things, probably not even important. Let's see, if I go back to the library, am I gonna find the other lady?
Lady Victoria's on the phone. Let's see.
I don't know if it's him. Don't we have a photograph?
Young man. It's not befitting, even for a policeman to eavesdrop behind closed doors.
I didn't mean to. Pardon me. Were they talking about me? But why should Lady Victoria, of all people, cooperate with the Order? She's got more of a reason than anyone else to want to put an end to the curse.
I kind of feel like the Order is trying to put an end to the curse, or doesn't believe there is a way, and Angelina might be the one that's trying to cause it to take its full course.
An old-fashioned telephone. But who should I call?
Unless the telephones are different lines, why can I not just pick up the phone and listen?
An old-fashioned...
I guess that's that, though. There's seemingly nothing else here, so let's talk to Sally again. I figure we'll have to go in circles a couple times.
Good day, Sally.
Yes.
Just have a couple of questions. New.
Lewis seems to take care of his car rather better than the garden.
That's for sure. Ever since I've been here, he's been doing something to it nearly every day. And when he's not fixing it, he's either polishing or driving around in it.
Has he driven it this morning?
This morning? Yeah, he did. I heard him starting it up. You can't help but hear that.
But you didn't see him.
I know exactly what that car sounds like. When he's working on it, he must start at something like 20 times a day.
But you weren't able to see whether or not Lewis or somebody else was driving it.
Lewis is the only one who drives that car.
Okay.
This really doesn't feel
Lewis
very
said
exciting
that Bates
doing all
selected you
this.
for the position, not her ladyship.
This is
Yeah, that's
dull.
right. There were a few candidates. The cleverest ones made for the exit as soon as they reached the gate. But if I was being honest, I thought that out of those I met, there were a few of them who were better suited to the job than I was. I was a bit surprised when he chose me.
He must have been impressed by your hidden qualities.
Yeah, and so now, all he does is moan about everything. He spends the whole day creeping about after me. Sally, do this, do that, don't do that. Ugh, like being in school.
Okay, I won't keep you from your work any longer.
Ah, don't worry about it.
So we've got a few places that we might hang this. Let's see. The wooden stairs is the one they want us to do.
Let's try it.
And I guess I'll probably use the ladder on the well. Probably should have put the ladder on the well first. Well, we'll try
Look
to
at
move
this,
back.
a shiny spoon.
So we sort of kind of know where the 3 mosaic tiles are. I don't know exactly how to get to all of them.
He doesn't like that at all. I gotta be careful. Ravens have got hard beaks that are as sharp as knives. They can really make a mess of you.
Well, we got
Excellent.
one mosaic
Angelina's
tile.
mosaic piece.
Looks like there's a
piece of
dynamic
mosaic for a
weather
spoon.
system that started
Good
raining.
deal for me.
It might be scripted. Might not be dynamic. So we still don't really have anything to do with the well, other than maybe this was supposed to be used on the well. We haven't done anything with the cart.
Judging by its condition, the car was probably in use up until a few years ago. But it's been standing there for some time now.
Just exhaust everything.
There used to be some sort of device hanging on this frame, which brought the water to the surface.
And so maybe we'll form a crank. Let's talk to Lewis. Maybe we'll get through this 5th act a little quicker.
Hey, Lewis.
So we have now 2 things to talk about: the car and money that was offered him.
What is it now?
Sally says that you were out in the car this morning.
Sally should keep her nose in her gossip magazines where it belongs.
So you didn't go out in the car this morning?
I said that already.
I don't believe him. Which of the old folks could have driven the car without Lewis noticing? Lady Eleanor said she gave you the option of going back home to Wales, and even offered some money to get you set up.
I don't know what that's got to do with you.
I just find it strange. You desperately want to go back, and are even offered some money, too.
And then? Work as a caretaker in a new bloody housing estate? I've offered more than once to look after the castle in Wales and keep it in working order. But apparently there's not enough money for that.
So, it's not so much about going back to Wales. It's more about going back to your castle and your garden.
That's right.
What you really want is to turn back time. Unfortunately, that's never been possible. Well, see you later.
Not if I see you first.
Alright. So we could go back to the gate. And that seems like kind of the only thing we can do. Like right now, we are here. We can go to the gate. We can't get back to the academy. We can't get back to this area. Gordon's Palace is the hotel slash sanatorium. And the White Wood, I don't know if we're ever actually going to end up going in there or not, or if that's going to be at the end of the game. So this is like a map system, isn't it? Yeah. It just is a map system that is in a game where you're incredibly limited in what you can do. So what happens if I try to go to Willow Creek?
There are no answers to my questions in the village. Just a bunch of order members. I'll stay here for now.
Alright. Another 45 minutes has passed. Let's see. Let's take a look and just see how many save files we're up to now. 37. So by my rough estimate, that should be close to the 30 hour or over mark at this game. What in the world is taking so long? Just it really is, more than anything, is the fact that every single place I enter has dozens and dozens of these things to click on. And if you don't click on them, you don't really know what you're doing. Speaking of not knowing what I'm doing, I kind of really don't know what my quest is right now either. We apparently did this one, and apparently did this. So now we're at the point of find the second piece of the mosaic, and then talking to the residents. Let's see, we already did that part. There's so many quests that we've done over the course of these games. It's a lot of gameplay. I could have easily broken this up into 2 games, and for the 8 years difference between 2003 and 2011, which I mentioned a lot, certainly you had to have half of a game at some point, unless the writing was just not there and you were simply doing animation on the side and doing puzzle creation on the side. Like if you were to give me a game half the length of this game, as much as it's been so far even, and it was just all story with no puzzles, I wouldn't be incredibly upset with that. Well, that's it for this recording. As always, I ask you to like, share, subscribe, comment, and watch every second of my videos. If you want a friend to follow me on any social media sites, there's a whole bunch of links down below in the description box. And if you want to support me even further, I'm asking people to friend me on Steam and gift me a game off my wishlist. Thank you for watching. Have a good